My pleasure to introduce Natalie Bumgarner. If you haven't met her or heard her speak, I think it will be a joy for everyone. She's very energetic and comes to us from a past experience that I think is notable. Growing up on a small rural farm in West Virginia, she became familiar with plants and gardening through the 4-H program, which is kind of coming back full circle for her, I think. But with that, gained experience from a practical as well as applied or scientific standpoint in such things as dealing with greenhouses, agriculture, led her to working with people, and with that decided to go into horticulture and graduated in 2005 with a bachelor's of science from West Virginia University. Went on and got her master's in 2007 from West Virginia University, and then to the Ohio State University, got her PhD in horticulture. So certainly has a strong science background, but as we listen, I think she enjoys putting that into language that we understand, and making sure that it has a strong science background, but is, I think, a very strong communicator. And working with people, I think, is innate for Natalie, and is just a joy. And with her and Tom, I think pulled a lot of us through this pandemic and allowed us to maintain certification in both service as well as CEUs. So tonight, I think, and as Suzanne noted, among other things, she is the state of Tennessee Master Gardener Coordinator. So what a huge job, and must enjoy multitasking. With that, I think we'll hear a little bit about what's going on with our program now during the pandemic, maybe in the future. But Natalie, it's your show, and whatever you want to inform us about, we're going to enjoy. So thank you very much, and look forward to what you have to tell us.
All right. Thank you very much, Ron. I'm really glad to be with y'all here today. I know some of you have been in with the Master Gardener program, for longer than I have. And some of you, this may be one of your first association meetings because you came through Tom and the crew's fall training class. So we're just really excited to share with you a little bit about our program. And this is going to be a little bit of a smorgasbord. We're going to talk about the plants, and we're going to talk about the people, kind of the way that our work here at the university and applied research connects with our program, but also very much the people aspect of what we do. And so lots of times when I talk about our Master Gardener program, I say we are mission driven, but we are people powered. And so the real thing that we do is share research-based information, but we absolutely can do that only because we have a trained, skilled, and dedicated volunteer network. And that's kind of going to be the way that we frame our discussion this evening. We're just going to kick off and talk some about the plants, some of the projects, some of the fun stuff that we have going on here that many of you may already actually be connected to, or there's some opportunity for in the future. Share some of our new pubs and resources and programs. And then we're going to talk about our people, some of the ways that we kind of who we are as a Master Gardener program, and how we've kind of come through and are excited about what's on the other side of this interesting time period that we are in right now. So lots of times when I talk about our Master Gardener program, this image is how I describe it, right? We have a foundation of research-based information, but it's the people connection with how we share that is really what makes the program work. And you all know that because in many ways, I think you guys exemplify that with the great leadership and the personal connectivity that your group has, but also the amazing array of projects and information that you share with your community. So our plants, right, are really the research based foundation. Of course, that's our connection with the land grant university, but we do all kinds of things from demonstrations in our gardens and on campus to replicated trials, citizen science opportunities, which I will say has been one of the most fun things that we've done over the last few years to get people engaged all across the state in some of the trials that we're doing, but all for the goal of providing a good foundation for you to share content with your friends and neighbors and communities in the various ways that you do outreach. So this kind of just be a little bit of a snapshot of what some of those projects, what some of that applied research looks like, and then the opportunity, you know, some of the resources that we have to hopefully support you as you share it. So for newer folks, I hope, you know, maybe some of this is fun because maybe it's things that you haven't heard about yet. For some of y'all who are our experienced team and you've thought, you know, I wish we had a pub on that. Well, there's a chance that we do now, or that there's one in development. So it's just a little bit of a fun update. So what do our applied research look like for horticulture, for residential horticulture? Well, a lot of that kind of is a hub out of the 3 branches of the UT Gardens, and they all look different and serve different needs across the state. So this is a little bit of a cloudy spring day in Knoxville, and this is one of the constructed rain gardens that is in the UT Gardens in Knoxville. So you may know Dr. Andrea Ludwig, who's one of our, who's our stormwater specialist, but also does a lot with the Smart Yards program. And so there's great sustainable landscape educational pieces that come out of this. So in East Tennessee, we have a lot of surface water. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not as great, but we have to manage that in a sustainable and practical way that works for us and for generations to come. And so these are cool opportunities to show people what that looks like. Rain gardens, constructed wetlands, plant selection, you know, new trials, what's coming out, what are some natives that can grow well in our areas. Then we have Crossville, which is the newest branch and is actually really powered by master gardeners. And so everything from dogwoods to redbuds to a whole lot of daylilies and educational and outreach opportunities take place there. And then I hope if you haven't already, mark it on your calendar. We have our fingers crossed for this year that summer celebration will actually be able to take place in some form of live. And that is one of our largest field days that's really dedicated to horticulture and consumers. And that is in Jackson, Tennessee. And so that's the 3rd branch of our UT Garden. So a lot of events, but also a lot of trials and applied research comes out of these stations. So this is a picture of the classic wave petunia, which came onto the market in 1995 and kind of changed the trajectory of marketing in plants. So it's one of my favorite ones to always talk about. But from All-American selections that trials that take place at these gardens to trials that are projects with specific breeders, there's a whole lot of hydrangea and everything that you can think of. And if you're a data person and you really want to look through these trials and see what the ratings and the evaluations are at different sites in different places across the state, you can absolutely just go on and look at the reports. But also know that a lot of times when we're talking about plants, you know, when we're teaching, that it's from this trial data that a lot of the information comes from. So this really gets spread out across the state and in a lot of our training presentations and in a lot of our new publications, which I'll show you some here in a little bit. The other fun thing that's coming out of the sustainable landscape piece is the Smart Yards program. And the reason I show you this screenshot is because we actually have an online series where you can watch the videos. And this is kind of a certification program where you learn the 9 principles of a sustainable landscape. But there's also lots of great applied opportunities for agents, but also volunteers to teach these principles in their own communities. Some of the fun stuff that we have going in Middle Tennessee right now, which might be of interest to y'all in the future, is kind of HOA-centered applications of some of these principles. If you're like me, sometimes you drive through your neighborhood and you look around and you say, my goodness, who makes these landscaping decisions, right? How can we do a better job of sharing good, sound, sustainable information with our communities? And so these are some of the new projects that are coming out. And we hope, to kind of build on this digital content with some very applied and practical things in the future for our volunteers. There's new publications. So these are a couple of the ones that Dr. Ludwig has just come out with in the past few months. So it's really all about the foundation for sustainability and performance and water and soil stewardship in our landscape. And if you have been waiting for, good information about plant selections and lists, we have a brand new perennials for Tennessee landscapes and annuals for Tennessee landscapes. And when I talked to some of the intern classes last fall, I think I sent you most of these files, and they are now actually available to the general public. And we've got slopes and screens and seed-grown plants and bulbs all coming soon. So there's a lot of new ornamental horticulture content that's in development. If you know me, then you know that I really love vegetable trialing, and my background is actually a lot of it in vegetable production. And so we actually have a citizen science project that is really all about how do we build on the traditional model of trialing, right? So this is Knoxville. These are what my vegetable trials look like in a summer that the weeds are very under control. And so most of the time I have an undergraduate intern who helps me with these plots in the summertime. Great for data collection, but they're challenged because of how much time and money it takes to manage them. We only have data from this one spot, which is Knoxville. And even though we do videos and things like that, it's limited in how much we can engage all of you guys and the general public in these sites. And, there's a lot of produce that comes out of them. But what we've kind of layered on top of that foundation of on-station research, so that took place at the Organic Crops Unit, which is one of our research and education centers about 15 minutes outside of campus, is a citizen science project. And so a lot of the cultivars that I'm trialing there on station, we simply mail out to folks all across the state who participate and then send information back to us in the fall. So we literally get, from the mountains to the Mississippi, performance and great input, because there's lots of things that you all as gardeners might notice and might evaluate your produce on that I wouldn't, right? I'm interested in yield, I'm interested in performance, but taste and cooking qualities. And so there are lots of great pieces of data that we get back from our citizen scientists that we would never really collect on our own. And it's a really fun way to connect to research that's going on. So this is actually our 5th year of the home garden variety trial. The past Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday afternoon, we spent packing. We have 140 participants that we've already gotten packed and mailed out, and room for a few more. So we select kind of paired trials. This year we have 20 different trial options that people can choose from. And then, folks sign up for what they want to participate in. We mail out a whole bunch of seeds and then kind of communicate throughout the year. When fall comes, we input all that data and then communicate the trial results. So, it's kind of been steady growth over the last few years. Last year we were interrupted by a pandemic, but we still got out a whole lot of trials by the early part of March, and we're hoping to build on that number this year. Every year at the end, we produce a trial report so that everybody across the state can see how these different cultivars compared and whether one was rated higher than the other. So we have gardeners rate things on, would you recommend it to other gardeners across the state? How did it perform in health or yield or appearance or flavor? So lots and lots of information that goes for that year's trial. And then at the end, there's kind of a summary that's everything that we've trialed throughout the last few years. So you can see, some of them we trialed in multiple years, and you can just see all of the performance data for really the whole trial for the past few years. Some of them, were, you can see the rating, the percentage of recommended, and what were some of the key attributes that people preferred. All of this information is available on uthort.com, which has our trial reports and all of the pubs that I mentioned that are out. We also put on here. So there's lots of fun and useful pubs for gardeners on that site, everything from nutrient management, to organic and conventional pest control, and lots of good useful resources you can use yourself or share with others. For this year in the trial, I'll give you just a little bit of a snapshot. We have a lot of some of our standard favorites. We do a lot of cucumbers and we do a lot of zucchini every year. Always have some okra, a lot of beans. This year we have heirloom beans that are turkey craw and Cherokee Trail of Tears. Got pollinator plants more this year. So we have borage. We have some bedding type zinnias and some companion planting options with marigolds. So there's lots of fun flowering or fruiting options for folks. And then if you are interested, I saw Katie was on the call. So I also have a grad student who is doing a grafted pepper project. And so he's going to have grafted peppers on station in Knoxville here in the field. And then we're going to have demonstration gardens that have the opportunity to grow grafted and ungrafted peppers and see if there's any performance difference in locations across the state. So you can kind of see, hopefully, a combination of what we do here on campus, but also how we try to make sure that we engage as many people throughout the state. So it's really just the fun of a team approach to vegetable trialing and getting as much input and valuable information as we possibly can. We also are doing a lot more fruit trials over the last few years. So these are some blueberry trials in Middle Tennessee. We also have them in East Tennessee, and we have new blackberries that are growing in this year. So you may look at that picture and you may think, well, those look like some weedy blueberries, but this is actually a cover crop trial. So these blueberries are being grown with a tillage radish, and these have oats. So we're doing a lot of different soil building and soil quality practices along with some of these perennial crops. Fun resources that connect all of this material are home fruit and vegetable calendar, which I know Tom got several of. I'm already out, so the printed ones are a lot of fun, but they're also available online. Over the last few years, I've had the opportunity to work with some of our education folks here, and we have a lot of material that can help you teach hydroponics if you work with a lot of students. So of course, that's another background interest area of mine. We have some new publications that also focus on indoor growing and soilless growing. So there's some really fun teaching and connection opportunities that we can, share this joy with the next generation. Some of the pubs coming out really fall in that fruit and vegetable category. So we'll have new publications for blueberries and caneberries about cultivar selection. So that was a whirlwind tour of some of the fun plant foundation, everything from ornamentals to fruits to vegetables, and we hope to continue to engage everybody in those, both as the projects are being done, but also as the new publications come out. So with our plants, of course, then we have the amazing people that are the heart of our Master Gardener program. And so this next section is really just some fun pictures and kind of snapshots of what our program looks like throughout the state. For some of y'all, this, you might see some people that you know in other counties, or if this is one of your first introductions, then we'll introduce you to some of our cohorts all across the state. So who are Master Gardeners? Well, we're learners, right? I think I speak for myself as well as everybody else. I learn from you guys every time I have the opportunity to interact. So we continue to gain new information, whether in person, whether on tours. Look, there's Patsy in the front row there. So whether outdoors at field days, this is actually, a couple, 3 years ago when I could give tours. So these are some volunteers from East Tennessee who came to walk through the tomato plots. We're doing a lot more of this this year. And I think that no matter what the tool, we're excited about the opportunities to learn new information. So we're learners, we're growers. And whether it be in raised beds or in 2-acre plots, Master Gardeners are producers. And many times that food goes back into our own kitchens or into the food systems across the state. Every year, Master Gardeners donate literally tons of food to those in their communities across the state of Tennessee. So whether it be vegetables or fruits, this is actually a group of Master Gardeners installing a blueberry trial in East Tennessee. Some honest to goodness red clay soil there, or ornamentals and pollinators. So over the last few years, as the general gardening public has gotten more interested in pollinator support, Master Gardeners have kind of built up their reservoir of how do we demonstrate this? How can we teach some of these practices to show the ecological connections with a lot of our, insects, both, how can we practice IPM? How can we support pollinator communities? And so there's lots of opportunities to bring together a lot of those elements in our Master Gardener programs. We're learners, we're growers, and we're teachers and mentors. And so you all experience this all the time, right? Now it's on Zoom, but when we have the opportunity to be in person, I feel like there's maybe nothing more effective than a 6 or 8 or 10 or 15 people doing hands-on teaching. And this is really kind of where the magic happens lots of times in our programs. Not just in, classrooms with PowerPoints, but hands-on and in demonstrations all throughout the state. But not only do we teach kind of just in those straightforward content ways, but we actually see our Master Gardener program start to mentor and work in new and novel areas. This is actually a West Tennessee picture, and you can kind of see who the Master Gardeners are. They have UT Gardens shirts on there. And this is actually a garden that they have helped the participants in a drug and alcohol rehabilitation program. So it's a live-in facility, and a lot of these young women are there for several weeks or several months. And so as a piece of supporting that recovery, the Master Gardener program goes in and teaches gardening skills. And so those skills and kind of that ability to learn new skills and exert control, over that area can be a big asset in people as they're transitioning. And it's just a way that our volunteers and our program are kind of meeting the new and dynamic needs of our communities. We're also historians. And so all across the state, being able to respect those who came before us through preserving and teaching about the elements of the past, whether it be through, historical buildings or teaching through historical gardens. There's lots of ways that Master Gardeners, as historians, both communicate about the past and how that relates to our future. Master Gardeners are also composters. I don't know if Bud Hines is on here, but I feel like in every Master Gardener group, there's kind of the key lead composter. And so this, of course, is sustainable, right? But I just chuckle every time I see this picture, because I think in many ways this kind of shares kind of the fun community heart of a lot of our programs, on some random, Thursday afternoon. This is actually a Knox County picture, but, an email goes out and says, hey, we're getting together at Barbara's house to do some composting this evening. And everybody comes, and they stand around and they watch and they talk about composting. And sometimes they wear pearls. So we are teachers, learners, mentors, growers, naturalists. And so the amazing ecosystem and diversity that we have here in the state of Tennessee is something that we continue to learn about, but also teach others. It's a great way, of course, to learn ourselves, but also to communicate about stewardship to the next generation. So whether it's planting trees at Arboretums, or this is Reflections Riding. So there's lots of opportunities that Master Gardeners connect those naturalist and native plant elements as an educational tool for our communities. But overall, I think in many ways, what really exemplifies our program is that we are investors in the next generation of plant people. So all ages, all abilities, we have the opportunity to connect them with this growing live world of plants, whether it be in person or the way that you guys adapted and did the youth gardening camp virtually. There's all kinds of ways to kind of share the love and spread the joy with the next generation. These are some 4-Hers that I had the opportunity to work with a couple years ago. In fact, we did plant propagation all afternoon, and it was a ton of fun. A little bit nerve-wracking because it was me and a lot of 14-year-olds. We did grafting, we did tissue culture, so there were a lot of sharp objects, but it was both safe and educational. And it was a lot of fun to me to see the interest and the engagement of the plant people who are coming behind us. So who are Master Gardeners? They're about 2,600 amazing folks who change lives through their education and through their investment of others across the state of Tennessee. So I told you the mission at the beginning, and you know, sometimes we in like university sectors use more words than are necessary, right? But in volunteers' own words, we had some sessions a couple years ago where we just kind of listened and talked about the benefits of our program. And this is what volunteers came out of that session describing our program as. Provides access to research and resources, but more importantly, the opportunity to share a personal passion with our communities to improve lives now and for generations to come. And so that's what we do, right? That's what we do every day. And I feel like even more now, it's important because as we think about kind of our focus for this year, I feel like is just really to focus on the people and make sure that, yeah, you know, we'll come out of this, we'll get back to our demonstration gardens, we'll grow plants again. But for right now, it's maintaining the people connections. And so I think that, you know, we build on our past, and you guys are great at celebrating the past. Of course, a couple of years ago, and you celebrated 25 years. So this picture on the right, I thought was really fun. A couple of weeks ago, we had to move buildings here on campus, and so I was packing up things that, you know, were with the Master Gardener program long before I got here. And I found pictures from Hamilton County in 2004. So I only knew a couple people in the picture. That's Tim Cross, who's our current chancellor here at the University of Tennessee. That's Mike Payne there in the back. You can't see him very clear, but I'm pretty sure that's who it is. So building on the great folks that have built the program behind us, and kind of using that strength as we power through this weird present that we're in. So if I were to come up with an analogy for what the last year or so has been, I feel like it's kind of been walking on a bridge in the fog, right? And as we come through this, there's really only two key things we want to keep in mind. We want to keep moving forward, and we want to make sure that nobody jumps off, right? And I don't know, like honestly, I do not know of any county program in our state that has done a better job of keeping everybody moving forward. Because to get off the foggy bridge, I actually think that if we to remain with the bridge analogy, that we're like here, you know, we're really almost across this crazy gorge, and on the other side, we're going to be able to build on the relationships and the connections that have many times been strengthened over this year, and really just continue to learn new things and integrate new folks into our program. So honestly, I'm excited about what's on the other side of the bridge and what we've learned and how we've grown to get there. And just so you know, this is a West Virginia picture. So this is the New River Gorge Bridge down in middle West Virginia. So in this present, we want to focus on our members. We want to celebrate and recognize the investments of people recently. So other fun, very direct Hamilton County connection. As a matter of fact, today, all of the shovels and the awards from 2020 finished. So I went to the award shop to pick them up. We have gold shovels. This one is for the youth camp. And the food bank was our community partner. I've also got one for Carol Matthews here. So the next time I get to see you, we'll celebrate again some of the great folks and projects in your county. I think that as we kind of get into, a little bit more in-person time, mid, late, whenever it happens this year, it'll be a good time to reach out to some of those folks to whom technology wasn't their thing, and really invite them back and welcome people in person. But we also have, and you guys are in many ways the shining example, a great opportunity to connect with folks who are now more interested and more able to participate in our program because of the more flexible methods that we're using. And I think that that this past year has hopefully made us all contemplate a little bit about the people and who have helped us get here, because really the reason that we're here in this Master Gardener program very much is about people. And so people are the reason why we plant. And I know I've spent more time, actually gardening in the past year or so than I had probably in years before. And it's definitely kind of gotten me thinking about how, the people that invested in me and how I got here. So I actually looked up this picture a couple of weeks ago. That's from like 15 years ago. But this is in between my graduate degree and my undergraduate degree. So this was like the last, family garden I think that I planted. And that's my grandpa. So I'm, 22, 23, got a, freshly minted degree in horticulture, and I'm home for the summer. And he comes down to help me plant the garden. And I'm pretty sure that he probably walked behind me and told me that I was putting all the bean seeds too close, which I still kind of do. But it's the people that have poured into us, that give us the reason to invest in the people who are coming behind us. So this is my niece. She's a little bit taller than that now. This is a picture from 3 or 4 years ago, but she still loves tomatoes just about that much. So I think that whether it's the volunteers that you work with or, the people in your family who you invest in, the people who we have the opportunity to plant with are really the most important thing. And now more than ever, right? Because we've come through some crazy times of this. We've gardened like this. We're now connecting like this. This is actually a picture from a few years ago of some of our extension colleagues. We didn't pose for the picture. But even through these challenging conditions, we have a great opportunity to continue to connect. So we recognize, we invest in our members, and we focus on the flexible and fluid methods that we now have available to us to engage and reach new audiences, and kind of respect in many ways engage current audiences. There may well be some of you guys who can attend tonight who wouldn't have wanted to drive in this weather if we were all meeting in the together in a meeting facility. So I think that it goes both ways. It gives us the opportunity to engage folks who maybe hadn't participated before, or folks who maybe hadn't been able to for a while. And I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of brag on you, because throughout this whole year, you guys have just jumped in. You're in the middle of your second distance intern training, whether it be virtual youth camp or all of the community education that you kind of moved online, monthly meetings, and Tom, I taught myself how to edit video this year, just like you did. And so, we're working on, continuing to transition our methods, and it's working, right? So whether the things that you do locally or the things that we do statewide, we want to continue to kind of build on this digital and connective opportunities, even as we move back into a little bit more in-person stuff. So my last couple of slides here are really just sharing with you about some of what's coming up over the next few months. So we're going to continue kind of our 2020 Friday Focus series, which we sort of planned, ad hoc last year, but it was so much fun to travel around and do live snapshots of all across the state. We're actually even expanding it some this year, and we're bringing in Master Gardeners from other states. So if you didn't get a chance in January, we've got the recorded version when we visited with Florida. In March, we're going to hopefully bring in some Master Gardeners from Alabama. We've already got some folks set up from Ohio in September to talk about arboretums. And then we're hoping, Patsy, to bring in some Texas Master Gardeners for one of our summer or fall. So, we're just continuing to spread that connection. All throughout the month of May, our Friday focuses, they're going to be a little bit shorter, 30 minutes or so, but we're going to be at 4 different state parks all across the state of Tennessee, talking about ecology and nature and some kind of fun opportunities to hopefully, hit the trails and get back outside as the opportunity to travel and engage is a little bit easier. And we really hope that by the time we get to fall, this is at a park in Clarksville, where we have one of our regional conferences planned for next year. So we hope to be able to have a little bit more engagement by the time we get to the later end of the year. But in summary, our message is still very viable and vital, even as we're coming through a whole change in the way that we do things, because we continue to deliver high quality information that's built on research really done here for here, a real and personal connection, whether digitally or whether in person, all for the purpose of improving lives and benefiting human well-being in the communities in which we live. So our mission is plants and horticulture support healthy people and healthy communities, absolutely, now more than ever. Because when it comes to our Master Gardener program, it's true, we may join for the plants, but we absolutely stay for the people. So that's what I've got to share with you today. And if you guys have, any questions or comments or anything you want to visit about, then I'm game.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.
We did have a few questions, and there'll probably be more as we continue, but had a number of folks saying that they're working on the designation for smart yards, so we're getting people involved. There's a question about is there a smart yard program in Georgia? And I guess to add to that, is that a national program or?
Well, that's a really good question. And so the answer is sort of. So it's actually a program that a lot of different states have a similar one. So the Tennessee program was actually built off of the Florida lawns and neighborhoods. But I think I was just talking to Andrea this week that there's a Going Green Georgia or something. I think that they actually have some of those similar components. So it's not exactly the same. But
they had contact extension to find out about that.
Yeah.
UGA. Yeah. There was a question about does UT have something dealing? Well, the specific question was hydroponics, aquaponics, excuse me. But I'd be interested in any kind of hydroponic program that you might have.
Yeah. So the main hydroponics information that we have are some of those extension pubs, and of course, if you're working with youth, we have that teaching series that is all about hydroponics. We don't actually have anything that is specifically aquaponics.
Gotcha.
The inclusion of fish. So there are some nuances there. A lot of it's similar, but I don't think we're doing any actual aquaponics research. I should have included a picture. We actually, like right behind the building where I'm sitting in, we have a shipping container that is now growing hydroponic lettuce and herbs. So we're doing a lot of LED lighting research. So there's some cool stuff going on campus.
Cool. Again, there's you can tell this must be close to one of the larger Zoom meetings we've had. I see 95 participants.
No kidding. Just for the trials, I read through it and it seems very daunting. So I'm like, what can I mess up the least?
Oh, you just grow flowers and fill out an online survey, Suzanne.
All right.
You can
Flowers and lettuce, Suzanne. You can't mess those up.
This is true. All right. I will fill it out and do my citizen gardener best.
And I saw a publication that I think it was either Community Gardens or Children's Garden. I had a request, I think today, from one of our Siskin's Children's Center, and it's a place where we've had sort of demonstration gardens, but it sounds like either the employees or somebody wants to get some help to put in a garden that they'll actually harvest. Is there anything about safety? I think they were asking about, can they use it for their clientele? I don't think there'd be a problem, but as long as they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as long as kind of, it'd be more of a liability question that wouldn't necessarily be a food safety question. Most of our general, community or home gardening practices should be should be appropriate. Yeah, so we've got a school garden pub, and lots of times I also use a resource from the USDA that's all about community gardening. So either one of those might be handy for them.
Okay, yeah, I'll get those and pass them on.
Natalie, at the beginning, you had a bunch of, you were showing us at the beginning of your presentation, some information, pamphlets and things. And I just was wondering where we all go to access them, or did you put that in the chat already?
Well, I mean, I can put the link in the chat, but most of all of those pubs are on the UT Hort site. So like some of those new annuals and perennials pubs. So there you can see like there's bulbs. There's the new perennials, and there's the new annuals. So pretty much everything that I mentioned would be on under one of these tabs on the UT Hort site.
And we get to that how?
It is just uthort.com. And that is, so that's kind of our inside and outside website. So of course it's great for our volunteers, but it's also an easy link, that you can share.
I know a couple weeks ago that I think you had, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about the program for the health benefits of gardening, UT Extension, and was talking about a program maybe in May. I work with vets and in a gardening program, and there's also vet counselors. And I guess my specific question, would the vet counselor be able to take this program?
I would definitely have a conversation with Derek about that, because Dr. Derek Stowell, who is one of our educators at the gardens, I mean, I know that he either has or is working on a grant that actually is with a veteran audience. So I can get you his contact information, Ron, and
that'd be great.
He'd at least be able to give you good insight or information.
Yeah, I'll contact him. Thank you.
Yeah.
Your enthusiasm is catchy. And
I like your
we're
new
ready to go again.
glasses.
Hey,
Yes,
modernization hits us all eventually.
Okay, I'm interested in taking some of these courses online with proven winners, and that counts.
I will actually defer that question to Tom. So if he's good with it, I am good with it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because they have a lot of good classes online. Yes, you have to pay for some of them, which I don't mind, but I like to give the certifications, and give that under my belt as well as much of the knowledge, because it's a lot of good information through proven winners as well.
Yeah, send me a program of it and we can talk about it. Most likely we'd probably do it.
And the other thing is, Natalie, if you're participating in the trials, is that a volunteer hour thing or is it separate?
As what we've often said generally is, you could count, a few hours for that, but, once again, make sure that that's okay with Tom. Like some people have done, 1 hour per trial or something, but, double check it locally.
Yeah. We'll talk.
Okay. Yeah, we can. I mean, I've just checked. People are going to ask at some point. So I just wanted to, I hope we're all inspired by Natalie, and check out the Friday Focus. UT Hort is also on YouTube, has a YouTube channel. And if you're a new intern, last year's Friday Focuses, which featured a lot of Master Gardener groups around the state, are there on the UT Hort YouTube channel. Is that right, Natalie? Yeah, that's where I've seen them.
Yeah, check out that July 31st one. There were some that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And just seeing what other Master Gardener groups are doing is very interesting. So when you have nothing better to do, go check out a YouTube video. And anyway, thanks, Ron, for getting Natalie to speak to us.